aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spiritual and paranormal. From all of the three moons, beyond your wildest dreams. Nice.
TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. Welcome to the Vortex. Welcome to the channel. Shout out to everybody listening live on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, D Live. No matter where you're listening live, shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. If you have any questions, post it in the chat, and I'll try to translate those over for our guest. And it'll be fun. We're co-creators. We're doing this together. Also, man, shout out to everybody listening on the podcasting apps, wherever you are. Just peace and blessings to you as you're listening to the show. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting this show financially, who has partnered with me in this vision on Patreon. You guys are co-creators again with me. This is listener supported, listener funded. Doesn't happen without your help. Thank you guys for believing in the work. Shout out to some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. Shout out to TP, Lishael Liam, Mysticky 333, D Gordon, Mikael, and Alex. Thank you guys for believing in the work and coming on. If you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music, which is 200 plus songs. You get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, bunch of other really cool stuff. Make sure you check it out, and it helps me keep doing this and bringing these live streams to you guys. Also, if you've not got a chance to check it out, my book is here, Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God, forward by Jordan Maxwell. Get your copy at TruthSeekah.com. My guest today is someone who I really admire, look up to her work. She has a large body of work, such a sweet spirit. One of my favorite interviews that I've ever done. We did a talk probably a year and a half ago, 2 years, I don't know, but had a really good time talking with her, and I really admire her spirit and her work. Jill Mattson, welcome back to the TruthSeekah podcast, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and a big hug and welcome to all the listeners. I hope we're going to connect you up to some pretty high realms, maybe awaken to the angels today.
You found a way to, with the spirituality and music and sound and everything that you bring to the table, you found a way to embody that just in your own persona. Like talking to you, listening to your lectures, it raises your frequency just listening to you talk. So it's definitely working. Is that kind of like the end goal for everything? Like all the spirituality to help you remain at that higher level vibration where it rubs off on people?
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've seen in my meditations is that, we're all connected to all that is. And I've seen one way in which it's done in that is like the silver cord coming up the top of your head, running up your spine. And as it goes up and up and up, it gets tangled and caught and clogged and teared. And so what I've seen in my meditations is that you can access or open that cord in higher chakras above your head, which makes it very easy to be connected to higher realms. And I guess spirit gives to all of us, and everything that's been given to me is available to everyone. And I kind of see us all like flowers in a field. The first ones that come out are the daffodils, and they're very plain, but after that long winter, they're so refreshing. And then each flower becomes more involved, more intricate, more fabulous. But each one was fabulous in its time, and each one made way for the next more beautiful flower. So I'm very excited for my gifts and the fact that I think others after me are going to be a more beautiful flower.
That's good, because it's contagious. It rubs off on people, and you can see your work influencing others, and people who may have kind of been turned off to some of the stuff they're now teaching. It's really interesting. There's a lot of people, I come from a religious background, and a lot of people in the churches are now teaching, Dr. Emoto stuff and sound healing and vibration and frequencies, and even getting into sacred geometry, because you can't talk about it without going into sacred geometry, the language of the universe and the language of sound. So, if it wasn't for forerunners and you taking his work and expounding on it and relating it back to music and sound and higher frequencies and stuff like that, it's catching on. And there's definitely an awakening happening, and I'm seeing it even in the religious community, which, we talked about this a little bit last time, but maybe it started in the religious communities and religious sects who really appreciated the spiritual technologies from music early on. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you're bringing out are these different religious sects of, whether it's the Babylonians or Hebraic prophets and stuff like that. They all understood the power of music.
What I've seen in my earlier, I do a lot of out of body, and I go to earlier embodiments, and I see us as not quite human yet, or perhaps human and having more evolved beings walk among us. So the idea of clairvoyance, clairaudience, I mean, that's as common as talking. And when you can use all those psychic skills, so if I can read your mind, and I've done that many times, and it's so beautiful and complete. And then when you go back to words, it's just like, with little glyphs instead of the whole complete fullness that you can go by sharing energy with someone. And then what do you need sound for? Why do you even need language when you have the ability to open up and share like that? And the early etymology of sound was it was a tool. It wasn't to convey symbols. It was for lifting rocks. It was for growing your garden. It's for, I had this one daydream, out of body, whatever, and it was in Atlantis, and I watched these little kids. It was the end of Atlantis, and they had this, set of old stories that came from the early part of Atlantis. And in the early part of Atlantis, before they were human, perhaps totally clairvoyant, clairaudient, when something in their body got dark, i.e. sick, out of tune, bad, old, aging, they would sing it into tune so they could see it and they could hear it. And then immediately you could see what herb would do it, because you could even touch a herb and watch the herb change your aura. So everything was very clear and simple. And sound was full of gifts, full of tools. So as we kind of like evolve into matter, the early, now I'm talking into Sumerians, Babylonians, some of the Lao Tzu, ancient Egyptian, you have these stories about walking amongst the gods or the higher beings or the winged beings. And still, sound is a tool. And I show very clearly by sharing other people's work and research, sound makes your garden grow. Yeah, I have CDs to tune your pancreas, music to tune your pancreas. You can use sound to develop higher dimensional skills. I have one CD with vitamins, one to tune your immune system against the coronavirus. I'm coming out one with DNA, coming up with the 72 Sigils of angels in sound code. And that was the ancient idea, just like you said. It was that sound is free, cheap, accurate. And if you play it over, it's like spoonful of medicine makes the spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. What a great way to heal.
Yeah, it's fun. You get to feel it. You can play in the energy, and you feel better as well. Talking about like the power of sound and music. I don't have my notes pulled up here, but I remember the 528 frequency was even used to clean some of the oil out of the water with the Gulf Coast oil spill. I'm down here in Alabama, so this is in our backyard.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting that they did those studies on that. Do you have any information on that?
Well, I've read those studies, and I haven't seen the actual studies, but I've seen about 20 people refer to studies that DNA, 528 tunes DNA. And other studies show that if you have DNA in a petri dish and you just like project love at it, that the DNA repairs itself. And that's why 528's been dubbed the love frequency. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it's like a complete universe. So there's all kinds of frequencies that heal, but there's also rhythm patterns, and that's really rich in the ancient Hindu music healing. Because rhythms definitely is a large component. In harmonics, I use harmonics in a lot of my sound codes, but it's a mathematical pattern, perhaps the grid of the universe, who knows? And when Sherry Edwards, who studies sound on the body, she has software and looks at the frequency of everything in your body. She finds most of your body processes. They're harmonic mathematical chains. So if you look at the mathematic of the sounds of what's going on in your body and look at the mathematics of harmonics, you'll find they're one and the same. And that's why people like Tibetan bowls and gongs and tuning forks, because you get live harmonics. Anything else is digital, except I have software in many of my CDs where I manually create digital harmonics, because otherwise they don't capture on, something like this. But anyway, and intervals and ratios are incredibly important. In other words, the impact of two sounds. And you'll find that music, if you will, alive in every ancient temple and pyramid and every chapel and temple. They're embodying the ancient sound and music. It's not a metaphor. And so you go into some of these ancient buildings and places, and you can go into one and tune your heart chakra and your heart, go into the next and tune your liver, and they're designed like that. So they knew what they were doing. Anyway, I could go on.
No, I love it. What is like the relationship with music, and especially harmonics when it comes to spirituality? Because it seems like for every note, for every string, you have pitches and you have notes and chords that kind of go together, and they like this one note will resonate other strings that are similar to its own, maybe
Right.
even at a higher octave, but it's the same note that keeps going up. And that's music. But what if we look at that spiritually? Are there things and ideas, or even tapping into that music spiritually, that will give us access to some of the other frequencies or realms of possibilities, maybe densities, dimensions that we enter in through a certain tone, if you will, or level, and we're able to get access and resonate at those higher realms. Have you had any studies on that? Because we're talking about portals, music being portals, and that's one thing we were talking about a little bit before we went live.
Oh my, that's about 10 questions. See if I can remember them all. Okay. Harmonics. It's a mathematical pattern. Notes that sound good together. Also a mathematical pattern. And they kind of mock each other. They're close. We kind of muck them up in today's music, but they were designed to be close. And if you look at fractals, and you see fractals in a mountain, every place you look, you're looking at fractals. My hand, it's all fractals. It's certain mathematics. So I would suggest that the mathematics that you see in nature is with the Fibonacci, with the spirals, with the straight lines. You're going to find all of that corresponds to music. And we are music. And that's not a metaphor. That's literally. Enlightenment means light. And light, of course, is the combination of every single frequency. It's the whole. It's the balanced whole. And so I would say there's several ways. One is by looking at what frequencies you're missing and then listening to it or taking supplement or eating food or doing something, getting some energy healing treatment to complete it. Sometimes you can listen to energy that is the whole and it kind of like takes over. What I've done with portals and sound codes, again, it's just from deep meditation, kind of out of body. And what I saw was something similar to string theory. And the strings, like in the beginning, we were all that is. There's just God all by himself. And that's us. And so how do we experience ourselves? We have to almost like separate ourselves. And so we divide into two. Now we're still one, but we perceive we're two. So in a way, an analogy might be, you turn off half the radio stations. So instead of receiving them all, you now receive half. And as we involve in matter, we go through different stages. And each time we involve lower, we get to be more independent and less radio channels. And so here we are with just one, us. And why would we be so silly to do that? I mean, why do billions of people come here with all the pain? And I'd suggest that it's the fast way to become a God. You know, Jesus says you're children of God. Well, is he a liar? And if we're children of God, aren't we going to grow up someday? Mm-hmm. And incarnating on earth, you know, we can experience mercy, we can experience kindness. You can't experience those things, you know, if you're in heaven or if you're all that is, because God doesn't need kindness. He doesn't need mercy. So we get to experience those things, and then we get to be, really, we do get to be gods. Think of it. We create all day long. Our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. And so we create all day long. And do we really think that our life dies when we die? Think of Hitler. I mean, we're still wavering in what he did. Or think of Gandhi or Jesus. Look how our lives are creators. We just don't understand our power. And so we come on earth for the fast track to be creator gods, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, these sound codes, when we came down, how do you lock a sound code? How do you lock a radio station? If you're God and you're trying to become you, how do you do that? And what I was shown is that God had all these strings coming into them, and they knotted them, and they're tied, they're blocked. So the strings, the vibrations don't get to you. So you just have you. And the sigils, which are the symbols for angels, they're the symbols that you find in all sacred sites. Those are the patterns to unlock. So the keys are hidden in plain sight. And I was shown how to put them in sound.
And that's what we'll talk about now. You sent me some of the sigils and a, how do you say it? Zatriel, or you?
Zachariel?
Zachariel was an angel that you've got this sigil for, and I'm curious, and I'm sure many of the people listening listening are as well. How do you come up with the different sigils? And I'll show those on screen for those of you watching on the podcast live stream. So how do you actually come up with those?
Sigils are as old as our history and older. In ancient Babylonian, Samaria, in many of the ancient religions all over the world, all over the globes, they have symbols for angels. They have symbols for gods. And so the pattern I find in stone at sacred sites, carved into temples, ancient documents. And then I convert them. So an angel's going to have, it's going to have like, they're associated with fragrance, they're associated with planets, they're associated with animals and dolphins and different dimensional sounds. And I believe we're not the top of the food chain, that there are animals or beings on earth that are higher evolved than us. And their sounds are also uplifting, like whales and dolphins. And so you'll find that these ancient beings are associated with some of those animals. And so all those correspondences I put in the mix to kind of amplify the energy of the angel.
Yeah, I say that because like if you look up angels, sigils, and you're gonna find so many different weird, symbolism on, like, write this symbol down or draw it and the angel will appear and things like that. So I guess it's kind of like, iffy on which information is correct. Like, we don't want to draw the wrong symbol or something like that. So that's why I was curious on.
I think with intent, it's very, very important to have sincere intent. And I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient, so I've seen angels often. And so often the same angel will appear to me in different form with different name. So I don't know that the name and the having the proper pronunciation and everything is so important as a pure and sincere heart. I think if you really have good intent and just mean to connect and bless the earth and have good heart, I always ask in my prayers for any errors or shortcomings to be overcome. Seems to work for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I definitely believe that it definitely has to do with intent, and because we've heard so many different people try to be like dogmatic or legalistic when it comes to these things, and even with the name of God or the name of Jesus, like in the religious tradition, there's like a lot of people who won't use that name because they think they're calling on Zeus. So in their mind, there's a disconnect that when I say Jesus, I really mean Zeus, so I can't say that word. So they'll use Yeshua, those names that feel more comfortable with them because of their study, because of the things that they found out. So again, it doesn't matter. Like, what we found out is that the being known as Jesus responds to all those names because it's an intent. It's calling upon, the Bible talks about calling upon the name of the Lord. And the name is that character trait. It is the attributes and the personification and all of that. It's not having the proper, having the proper vernacular to get the name right. It's an essence that you connect with, and I'm asking for it to show up. And
yes.
And
sound is a carrier. Think of how I can say, hi. The word is not the communication, and I can alter how you feel over these miles, and it's a carrier. So the beauty of the ancient names, and I just came out with 72 ancient names of God in the ancient Jewish tradition. If you add an IEL or an IAH, that also becomes names of God and names of angels. So shortly I'm coming out, I have it in video, but shortly I'm going to come out with CD, and I have the sound codes for them. And it's done through almost every ancient religion. They imagine that God is all that is, and they have different ways of just breaking up that composite information. And each one becomes an angel or an aspect of God. So like with Tree of Life, the little dots on the Tree of Life, the Sephiroth, it's different attributes of you and me, only more divine. And by tuning, and I have the Sephiroth in sound too, but by tuning to each one of those of mastering your feelings, mastering of your attributes of love, if you will, it's like you just have another little facet that connects you to God. And we're just finding our way back home.
Yeah, and that's the beauty that I've come to find with a lot of religions, is that it's their attempt, it's their understanding of these different personifications, even in the Christian tradition or the Bible, and understanding allegory and understanding. I mean, you have the Christian tradition, but then you have the Catholic traditions as well with the saints, and these saints are closer to the heart of God than, they say you are, so they'll kind of go through that saint when it comes to, a prayer of protection for travel, or an angel. And well, this saint was really gifted in childbearing and nursing children. So we're going to pray for this one, and evoking these different 72 names of God. It's the same within the Indian tradition, and it's beautiful to see the similarities within all of these aspects that we do it. I would say the majority of like evangelical Christianity just like goes to Jesus for all of that. Like Jesus is closer to God than you are, so they go straight to that. But you lose some of the, the beauty of the essence of these religions to like misunderstanding them, to know like where they were coming from with these different emanations of the 72 names of God, of the different thousands of gods in India and things like that. They just represent an aspect of God, which in turn, like you said, represents an aspect of us and who we are.
And what's really kind of cool, the ancient way of kind of having like an overlay diagram that connects the many religions, is they talk about the rays, or maybe not accurately, but oversimply put the color rays. So then, out of these angels, 9 of them are red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, and violet. And then they're all components of white light, and it's in every religion. And then, like Kuan Yin's pink, Raphael's green. And so it's a way of experiencing God as a rainbow. And if you look over the vast expanse of history, there's a lot of that, of looking at God at the rainbow in that way. And that way, Zeus is, let's say he's red in Atlantis, he's Poseidon, and maybe he's Zeus, and maybe he's this, and maybe he's that. But there's like, there's actually a blueprint or a map that when we just kind of follow what feels right, we can have our own special way back home. And you do find a lot of overlap in the world religions, and that it's almost like each religion's a different color. So Buddhism comes in as green with balance, like Raphael. And Jesus comes in with gold, with wisdom, like Krishna, like Horus or Ra. And then you have like, Saint Germain coming in violet, or Kuan Yin coming in pink. But throughout time, you can even say that religion has just experienced attributes of love, which is, if God's love, then, you can learn, you can maybe, if you believe in lifetimes like I do, you can spend lifetime in each color and experience the marvel, the wonder, the beauty of different attributes of love or different attributes of God. And oh, what a surprise when we finally get over feeling awful about ourselves, different attributes of ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what it comes down to. You see people, having that awakening within those religions, and people outside of the religions too, are having similar levels of gnosis, where they just come into this universal understanding. And it usually has to do with empathy and love. Love is like the motivator. Love is the catalyst for that awakening. It's not judgment. It's not hatred. Yeah. Sometimes you have to pass through those, but I think it helps with understanding the contrast and the frequencies and the levels of love. Like you really don't really understand unconditional love unless you've had love that was conditional. Like, we love you if you do this, we accept you if you're this, versus stepping into that unconditional love of the Creator, which is literally unconditional, and it's for you, it's not against you, there's nothing you can do to get rid of it, and that kind of thing. So approaching religion, life, spirituality, music, everything with that understanding really takes it to another level for you to appreciate the spectrum of the highest vibration.
And understanding each level, like you said, and understanding the positive and negative manifestation of each level.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to kind of compare this to time, our conversation. So in the United States in the 40s, it's a green time. People have green auras mostly. And United States becomes rich, world power. And then we have the Depression. So, during that brief period of time, people go through abundance and lack. And to me, the thing is to keep your heart, to keep your love. So if you go through the lack, then you go from sharing this much to sharing this much. But that's just as precious. And there's just as much opportunity in both attributes of negative and positive. And then in the 50s, most everybody in the United States, especially women, are radiating blue aura. And in blue aura, you get nurturing. And it's all over the world. We got this nurturing, taking care of, welfare, social security, funding for the handicapped. All this stuff starts. A lot of socialistic countries taking care of everybody, Europe. And in the final exams, Hitler, because he was enabled. People saw him coming and they were just reeling from World War I. They just didn't want to go in and do tough love. And then you have the violet. And this also corresponds to angels too. But I'm just saying that we go through in our lives a positive and negative, but we need to hang on to the love. So in violet, German wall falls, and you have the hippies and the flower children and so forth. And I think we're experiencing the other end, which is lack of freedom with our government at the moment, terrorism, lack of freedom. And, we're all going to get through these. We're just experiencing different attributes. And somehow through the challenges in life, I think our virtue attached to the color shines brighter. And all we have to do is simply observe and stay true to love and not become the negative.
The interesting thing about what you're saying about that is the micro and the macro, and understanding personal spiritual awakening, personal spiritual development. What we're going through individually is happening to the collective as well. And us, you can see yourself, but then once you step out of that to the bigger picture and bigger perspective, then you can see humanity evolving, humanity accepting love, humanity changing its ways and seeing the error of the way we were doing things. And that's the beautiful thing, to be able to see not just you and your own awakening and thinking that it's just you, but that other people are going through this as well. And then the more people on a greater scale or a collective, you see the evolution of humanity in this spiritual alchemical process. And it's really beautiful to see that.
What a beautiful comment. And in one of my books, Ancient Sounds, Modern Healing, I just diagram music as you go up musical octaves, because we are frequency, our bones, our liver, it's all, you can count the cycles per second. And the more spiritual we become, the more light we become, we carry higher frequency. So if you look at the mathematics of an octave, you just double a tone. So if it's a low note, let's say 1 cycles per second, you double it's 2. The difference being 1. 2, you double it, it's 4. The difference being 2. Let's say, Derek, you're a 500. Now you're just going to go up just 1 octave. But now you've gone up 500 light points in this analogy. And what I'm trying to say is that when loving people become more loving, it's a big deal on the global scale, that we might think, oh, we don't impact the whole. But I say a lot of people listening here, and you, yes, you do. And you are important. And your own love, your own embracing, your own connectivity to higher vibes on your way home, it makes a huge difference in your path. You just don't see it.
Yeah. And I've been kind of enamored, not to thinking of myself more highly than I should, but understanding, kind of going back to what I said at the beginning, like the power of your work and the impact that it's had over the years for you being consistent and you showing up. I don't know. I'm sure you can. Like it would sound egotistical and prideful of us to go around and tout like, hey, I'm responsible for this and this, but really knowing that your work has power and it's transforming lives and it's helping people and it's setting people on their life's purpose. They're leaving dead-end jobs. They're stepping into their purpose, which makes them more loving, which makes them more fulfilled. And you see how many people you impact, and then they go on to impact more people, and then they go on to impact somebody maybe with a huge platform. Maybe it impacts a pastor who's over a large congregation, and he impacts all the people, and then they go out and start podcasts. And like literally I've been enamored just sitting back and hearing testimonies and stories, and even seeing stuff that I know that's going on. They don't even have to tell me. Like a lot of them do tell me, but the majority won't. I just can see the impact of maybe people who listen to my music or listen to my podcast, and seeing them saying yes. And to be, I feel like we share in that harvest, if you will. We share in that law of compensation that, it comes back, and just to be mindful of that in meditation, in prayer, and knowing that I like it to the flower of life, of how we're in the middle and we're touching all these people, and they're touching more, and then they're touching more. And that's that collective evolution, if you will. And it's a beautiful experience to sit back, because sometimes we fall upon depression happens, or is my work even impacting anybody? Even after emails and enlightening sessions, depression tries to come in, whatever. But we have to remind ourselves, hold on, this is the good work. I'm doing God's work here. And to be able to pinpoint and trace it back, for me, it's just little old me, having this impact. And not just for me, but for everyone listening. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're all just like pipes. And it just comes out and it goes through. And it's so much fun to be that.
To be mindful of it. Because it works with that, with the good stuff, but it also works with the negative stuff. Like when you're teaching bad theology, or you're pushing hatred, or you're doing negative things, which a lot of us did in our adolescence, but we learned that. But even that stuff has ripples too. But to understand if that does.
And I believe it comes back to you, because we're creator gods. So I feel like everything I create has like a leash, whether it's this life or last, call it karma, call whatever. But
you reap what you sow.
I feel like the past is not set in stone. And that if I'm going to be enlightened, I have to enlighten all my lives. And that's why at this time of violet transformation, it's like I keep having all these layers of garbage come up, and I don't even know where it's coming from, because I'm not conscious of it. But I feel like if I can have strong enough love and forgive enough people, even when I don't understand, maybe the etiology of a problem, if I can just open up and forgive, that I feel like I alter the past. Even if you have a memory just of forgiving someone, your memory changes. You don't avoid the other person. You don't avoid people they know. You become free. So when you loosen up and forgive, including yourself, even things you don't understand, I feel like the bad that's run through you is malleable.
Yeah.
And, when you're enlightened, you take it all up, and that includes history.
That's the beautiful thing, and I approach it from a religious perspective, but a biblical perspective, right? And Jesus, and tapping into his love and forgiveness, and like, in order for you to receive forgiveness, you have to forgive others. Like, wouldn't that be something that you're asking for, something that you're not giving to others, right? And when it's that forgiveness and or whatever it is, and the whole fact of the matter is, like, there's an idea called justification through faith, and I like the etymology of that word. I'm justified just if I'd never done it. And there's these different scriptures that talks about, like, in Christ, which is the light, he remembers your sins no more, and he throws them as far as the east is to the west. It's kind of like a time traveler. Goes back into your lifetime and makes it like it never happened. You don't suffer from that anymore. You actually benefit from it. Now that you see it in the right light, in the right perspective, you're able to offer that grace and forgiveness to others who have been through those same traumatic experiences, or who have done similar things that you've done. So it's like stepping into forgiveness and going back into the past and forgiving yourself and forgiving others is huge. And it really removes those, what we would call cords of attachments or childhood traumas and things like that. You can literally be free of that stuff.
And you change the other people. So I do past life easy. I easily wake up and I'm someplace else. And so I've seen many of my past lives, or at least I believe I've had. They're very visceral, more real actually than this real. And is a bigger perspective. It's kind of like going to the movies, a past life. You know, you go to the movies, you're all involved in it while you're there. And even if you see it the second time, you can get involved in that drama, but yet you walk out and it's just a movie. And so when I'll find, like in a, let's say a current situation, I find myself disliking someone, which is very, very rare, but I have almost always no reason for that. And then if I dig deep, there's a big reason, but just not this life. And that's why I don't seem to understand it in this one. So, but then when I go into the past life, it's just like a movie. It's like, it's so clear to me that our souls are so beautiful and that we can alter the trappings that we call life with pure hearts. Really quite simple. And it changes us today. And it changes the people that have hurt us or we have hurt as well. I mean, it's like another way of thinking about it. Let's say we're all on earth and we're all tied in a big ball of knot. And it's like, if you can, through your own forgiveness, pull out one loose thread all the way through, how much easier it is for everybody behind you to unloosen themselves.
That's good. And you can be that example for people and use just stepping into that authenticity and love and not being offended and not, like, I'm real big on that. When you feel that stuff setting in, you can feel it. Once you're conscious of it, you're like, I got to get rid of this. Cause I've been at the place where, like, I've been offended or somebody said something that really rubbed me the wrong way, an authority figure. And I'm like, I got to deal with it now. Cause if this sets in, I'm going to deal with it months to come. And the weird thing is like, being conscious of it and how do we get rid of it. And sometimes it does it anyway, even though I was like conscious, like, okay, I'm gonna be dealing with this, I need to deal with it now, and I still had to deal with it for several months. You know, I was just conscious of what I had to learn and walk out and maybe continually forgiving, you know what I'm saying, and confessing and releasing and that kind of stuff, and not letting it stick. Like, some of it's a little bit more sticky, like if you're playing with, like, there's like slime and glue and stuff, and when you get it off, it's not sticking in this hand. It's like, I need help, you know, to get this peanut butter or whatever it is off your hands, because every time you wipe it, it's stuck to the other hand, you know. And sometimes it's like that, a little bit more stickier than others.
Two things. One is, it becomes sticky when you identify with it or judge it or own it or think it to be you. So, like, let's say you know, you meet somebody and they're in terrible, terrible pain. And because you're an empath, which I can feel, you start to feel their pain, their self-condemnation, their sorrow, whatever it is. As soon as you open the door, being an empath, to allow to feel those feelings, people don't know to just observe. You almost need to put a screen around you and observe, not ingest. So even if you're looking at past or something you've done in the past, or someone at the moment that you feel you don't care for and you don't even understand why, I think it's really important to be very conscious of being an observer, because that's not you. And the second you identify with it, it is you. And so to me, that has to do somewhat with the sticky stuff. And sometimes these ancient feelings, these old feelings, these childhood memories, they get stuck because they're literal. They're not imaginary. We don't see them, but they're literal. So resonance in your body, things that are the same frequency, communicate. So if I worry, it's the same cycle per second as the tummy lining. And if I do it enough, I get an ulcer. So I took from the ancient Greeks, the Pythagoreans, their whole big thing was healing through the emotions and music. And so what I've done there is I've gone into the negative and the positive. Like, I create music that's very impatient, and then I go to patient. And then I put in the frequencies of the flower remedies that are associated, because flowers are a positive manifestation of an emotion and they're very specific. And so what I do in the music is, it's like, let's say you have worry in the lining of your tummy. It's like I shake it up at the music so it literally gets free out of your bones and livers, makes you feel bad for a second, and then out it goes. But if you don't feel it, you don't release it. That's why when you first thought, oh, I'm going to get rid of this by now, well, maybe you could if it was small, but if it was huge in many, many past lives, and maybe it's in your DNA, maybe it's really rooted in your body, you really got to shake that before you can get rid of it all. And I like doing it in music. I have the Healing Flower Symphonies, Volume 1 and 2. Because the thing is, when I, let's say I'm trying to forgive someone from my past, it's so hard for me not to get that sticky stuff on me, because I'm even without thinking, it's like subconsciously I get in an old habit and I'll think, why me? I didn't deserve, so I get into pity or something, or how dare you, get into anger. And then I can't let it go. I think I'm letting it go, but really it's like, it's so tasty to be a little self-pitying, and I don't let it go. But when you do it with music, you don't remember the situation. You just remember the sorrow and the anger. And so I've created these 2 CDs because my guides have said this will clear your emotional body. And we just go through the different parts and shake out crap, loosen it up. It doesn't feel good for a second. And then it pops off your body. And then you go into the virtue. So back to our beginning point. Sound and music, it is spiritual evolution, and it is ourselves as well. And it's fast and fun.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit about, when you feel sick, or you get a temperature, or your temperature rises and you have to burn that stuff off of you. It literally burns the sickness out of you. Your body is beautifully created, and it's burning out that sickness and those impurities that aren't supposed to be there, those toxins. If you don't take care of your body, then you're going to deal with that a lot more, right? And it's going to be more traumatic of having fevers and that kind of stuff. But you don't feel good when it's happening. I mean, many of us will even try to take Tylenol to break the fever, when the fever is really that uncomfortable feeling that's actually working. Your body is fighting off those foreign invaders and those things that aren't supposed to be there, that are out of whack and out of balance. And so we try to run from the uncomfortable feeling, but the uncomfortable feeling is a little bit, it's part of the healing as well, right? You
Absolutely.
feel it sometimes.
If you're not feeling it, you're not healing it.
Yeah, I remember, and this is from the religious standpoint, one of my teachers years ago, the religious community, the churches would tell us, like, don't rely on your feeling. Don't rely on your emotions. Your emotions lie, your feelings lie. And then this other leader that I was learning under, I would say, hey, the pastor would say, hey, don't rely on your feelings. But like, I feel really good when we turn this music on and we start worshiping God and we're praying. I can feel the energy. And they're like, don't trust that. I'm like, what's the deal? Do we go by that feeling? Do we feel him here? Do we feel it? Can we tell when Jesus is with us? That kind of thing. He's like, yeah, like if you can feel it, like you're definitely tapping into it. Like you can feel for a reason. And so I think we can be too emotional or just too reliant on the feelings, but it's a big part of it. Our emotions, we are emotional people, and it tells us, like, we react to things. When a higher being is in your presence, you can feel it. You can tell a lot of times. It shifts the atmosphere of the room even. So they would tell us not to worry about those feelings and emotions, but I feel like the other side would lie to us. They would tell us not to trust it, but like your own intuition and
just
feeling.
think you need, Derek, to discriminate between what type of feeling. In other words, I can want to move into my feelings when I want to get revenge, or I can move into my feelings when I'm feeling love. So my path, it's so simple. You have to do something like the flower remedies, or maybe lifetimes of just pulling off pain and running into situations that are painful so you can loosen and release, or do something fast like the flower symphonies. But you need to be able to feel, because feelings to me are your steering wheel.
So they're not a bad thing.
Yeah. So but that doesn't mean I go and follow my feelings of hate.
Mm-hmm.
It means I go and I follow my feelings of love and light. And that feels so very, very different. And I find that when I'm being intuitive, I will often get a feeling to do something that doesn't make sense. And yet it feels so light. And I've learned to always move within the guides of not just feelings, but feeling of love and light. And it always works out. There's always something unseen that shows up later that I made the right choice. So I think that people tell you don't follow your feelings. That makes you a herder animal that they can herd.
Yeah.
I think the thing is to discriminate against your feelings. And you do need to feel the negative ones because they're running through you. And in order to loosen them, you need to feel them to let them go and say, that's not me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will even like let's say I'm listening to my flower symphonies, and each time I listen, if I got a negative something, I'll feel it in my body because I'm sensitive. So let's say I feel it in my shoulder. Then I'll kind of feel the pain and just let it off. And if I'm alone, so I'm not embarrassed, I'll do something like this and visualize, use my senses to amplify my intent. And then I feel lighter.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I think you do have to learn, and you have to grow in discretion and discernment and things like that, and not just be like really quick to do irrational things, because feelings do change, but definitely being led by the intuition, which works off of our feelings, which works off of our emotions and your gut. Your gut is what you're feeling. I have a gut feeling about this, and we know that the word gut is Scandinavian for God. I have a God feeling about something's not right about this, those kind of things. And so I think we grow in that too. We grow in how to learn and which ones do we act on. And I feel like if it's something that's real, that it'll linger. Like if it's something good versus like, here's an impulse, there's an impulse, here's an impulse, versus like, hold on, this is going to stick around. This is good. This is a great area to move forward in, and learning how to kind of navigate through those feelings and emotions.
I think many people are numb, and they're not even conscious they're numb. And what happens is, life's pretty hard on all of us. I don't know of anyone who's exempt. And without thinking or being conscious, you get a lot of pain. And particularly if you're being a good person, being polite, being nice, being right, and you just stuff it. Unconsciously, you become numb. You don't feel that pain, but you don't feel your joy either. And that's why, again, back to these symphonies, I think catharsis from Pythagoreans, it's very important, because what it does is it takes off your weight and your darkness, and then it like turns, it's like a dimmer switch, and then your joy, you can start to feel. Because I think you feel, so, we talk about, we try to help others through who we are, but there's a lot of people that wouldn't understand what we're saying because they really can't even feel, let alone judge their feelings. So I think the process is, release, release, release. And then once you start to be able to feel more, don't own it. Don't own the pain. Observe it. You're just going to a movie. It's like you're watching your life, and it's just a movie. You're a soul, and you're going to leave this life and the movie theater. And so you don't want to judge it. You don't want to own it. And you just want to see your own beautiful light and feel it.
It seems
So
like,
simple.
talking about a lot of people being numb. It seems like awakening has to happen, or something dramatic has to happen in their life that is almost like the defibrillators that shock you, and they shock you back to life because you're numb. You don't feel anything. You're not even here, even though your body's here. You're kind of on autopilot, but you don't feel anymore. And that's huge. A lot of people are numb. So even like doing drugs or promiscuity and things like that, they just want to feel something. They don't even care what it is. So when awakening happens, or something dramatic that shocks us, oh wow, I can feel again. Wow. Or maybe even feel for the first time. Maybe not even feel again. For the first time, like the colors are brighter. The air it has a smell to it. It's more beautiful. I can feel the air on my skin. Like, just being more conscious and more present allows us to tap into those God-given feelings as well. But that awakening plays a big role in it. And it's different things for different people. But it's that shock of a wake up, shake you out of that slumber.
Yeah, and so that's an excellent point. And just for those people who are on step 2, what I found is after I've had many different awakenings, and it's almost like an awakening is I'm given a bicycle, and then maybe for the next 3-6 months I'm given training wheels, and there's coincidences and there's magic and this happens and that happens. But just helping people along on the second step, I think over time, my experiences has been I get weaned from my training wheels, and I'm then taught to walk on my own instead of being given the light, the trauma, the excitement, the coincidences that I am them. And so don't take disheart after an awakening experience. If it suddenly gets harder, that's a beautiful step. That means you're on your next step. That means you're now walking on your own. And so you become the walking light. You become the walking healing. Think that, I'll do it right now. Here, listen to my voice. Versus, here, what are you doing today? There's no comparison. And so even on your voice, you can carry love every moment. You can become a walking healing for everyone in vicinity. And so you want to change from numb to awakening to observing, not owning negativity, and then becoming the light, and I don't know, just maybe enjoying it. I mean, what a task. Go enjoy yourself.
That resonates so deep with me, the way you put it. And I've talked about this story so many times on this podcast, but one of the most beautiful spiritual experiences, or the universe, God speaking to my heart, was watching an episode. I was at home. I wasn't feeling great that day, so I stayed home from work. I'm at home by myself on the couch I'm flipping the TV, and I just happened to stop daytime TV on Sesame Street. And it was it was Baby Bear learns how to skate. And it was his Papa Bear was teaching him how to skate. And I swear to you, God spoke into my spirit. He said, everything that Papa Bear tells Baby Bear, you're Baby Bear right now. I'm Papa Bear. And he's like, I'm going to teach you how to skate. But he was scared. I'm going to fall down. I'm going to hurt myself. No, it's okay. When you fall, I'll catch you. You'll be okay. When you fall, I'll catch you. You're not going to get hurt. Oh, yes, I will. No, watch. And he learned how to skate, and he's like coaching him. And he says, like, eventually you're going to get really good at skating, and you're not going to need me behind you. You're going to be able to skate on your own because I'm going to teach you how to do it. And it was like, I'm watching Sesame Street bawling like a baby at home by myself. And I feel chills. The atmosphere changes. It's the most beautiful, euphoric, out of nowhere, this changes. And then you snap out of it like, oh my God. What? And it was like, I feel this impartation where, like, God was speaking to me and stuff. And so, yeah, that the training wheels, and I'm going to teach you, and you're going to learn, and things like that. And so that's a big part of this, to know that we're being taught, that we're all in this universal mystery school. We're all inducted in it, and we're taking similar tests, and there's rules, and there's universal law, and there's things like that to learn how to graduate and to respond with love. I think is how you graduate every grade. But the grades get harder, but the answer is always the same. It's responding with love and light to your family, to your friends, to your enemies, to your past, to your present, to your future, responding with love to everything to pass these tests. And I love that, being conscious of that, how we're not alone, we're being taught, we're loved, we're being guided by our Father, our Mother is watching us, and we can do no wrong. And when we fall down, we get back up again. It's just so wonderful to live life and have that perception.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And anyway, so I've been very happy to be able to create music like you. And I sometimes feel very inspired. And let me tell you a little bit about music. I feel like musicians are just antennas like everybody else. And, we're given feelings. There's feelings for a time period. There's feeling for events, and that we get to, like, I can feel someone come right into my body when I play music, like violin or something, or whatever I'm playing, or composing music. I either hear it, or I think I'm writing it, and then I look at all this math, and it's not. There's all this math in it that I didn't know I was creating, and there's no way that could be a coincidence. So I feel like music comes in me, and music changes over time as humanity changes and learns new lessons. And music, it's like what you're talking about is it's the story of the Pied Piper. Mm-hmm. Whereas the music's played and we follow, and it's beautiful music. We have to observe what kind of music we want to follow. And it resonates with us, and our body releases endorphins when it hears what it wants for us to heal. And our soul knows the kind of music that heals us, and we ingest sound. It becomes us. We eat it just as much as we eat food, and it's a fast track. And so I think all musicians are inspired. And here's a study by a Joel Sternheimer, a French physicist, and he was measuring amino acids in plants. And if you do microscopic measurement, you can see that they vibrate at a certain speed. And aminos builds a protein in a plant. And all of the amino acids for different species were songs that like O Solo Mio. So therefore, the musician or the composer that wrote O Solo Mio was probably sitting in a field next to a plant that was singing below his hearing range. And here he is, just relax. And in comes this beautiful flower song. And he writes it down and he gives it out. And, we say I'm a composer, but I think I've been humbled so many times. I'm a pass-through. If you follow the music you love, I think you'll have a easier time with life.
Yeah. And being able to articulate that as well, you can tell, right? There was something different about where that was composed or where that song was written. And I there's a song that I really like. It's by the band Pussifer, which is Maynard from the band Tool, and Perfect Circle. It's one of his side projects. But he has a song called Grand Canyon. And there these beautiful, majestic lyrics about your beauty and how great you are and how majestic you are, and it's all these, he's describing it. And when I'm listening to it, I'm like, I know he had to be sitting there looking at the Grand Canyon on a trip and writing these lyrics. I don't feel like he was in his home somewhere else in Nebraska or whatever, Arizona, and writing these lyrics. Like, I feel like he was there gazing upon it, writing it. It's something about that. And I've been having writer's block a lot, because most of the time I've been writing, I've been out and about, and this inspiration hits me, and I don't have to force anything. It comes. And I haven't been out and about a lot. I've been in here creating and doing other things, almost trying to force things. And so my creativity doesn't work as good when I'm here. I know I need to go take walks and go visit. But even stargazing, some of my best stuff I've written have been in the mountains stargazing, and these lyrics come to me, and I write, and they're so majestic and they're so articulate. People are like, man, that's powerful. It's like, yeah, I didn't sit there and try to force it to happen. It was a natural process of that creative process, which is interesting on how we can cater to that. And most of the time it doesn't. I'm in this room a lot, but it doesn't, lyrics don't come to me in this room. I try to force songs. It doesn't happen. I have to be somewhere doing something to get that inspiration from nature, from whatever it is that I'm doing,
Yeah. And maybe it's training wheels too. Maybe you're learning to create, and the next step is create wherever you are and be the music.
There's a couple that it's just a different process,
Yeah.
It's like you have to search for it versus it just coming to you,
Because I do artwork that way, and it's like I can feel, because I'm sensitive, so I can feel someone come in and they paint through me. It's quick and it's great, and then they leave, and then it's not quick and it's not great. But I'm better for it, and I think we're being taught to be co-creators.
That's good.
So each time, they help you and then they leave you, they help you, then they leave you. And then each time you have to kind of stand up like you're learning to walk for the first time. And you just start to maybe add your piece to the universe, one verse, the universal symphony, and create some really cool stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. It's fun co-creating. And I'm with it because like, a lot of times I go back and listen to my work or see my body of work. I'm like, man, it seems like somebody else wrote it, especially when I'm able to listen to it and receive and be reminded of where I was. Like I listened to the song, I talked about this yesterday, but every song reminds me of where I was when I wrote it. Just like probably you too, every lyric, every symphony, every painting, where you were, where spiritually, emotionally you were, what you were dealing with, what you're trying to release. And I feel like that's why my music means a lot to me, because I know what I was going through and where I got the downloads and stuff. But I can listen to it and like still receive as a observer, like, and so like, man, and there's those songs that even I'll try not to even listen to my stuff a lot because I want it to, keep that power, that meaning, like it's special, right? It's holy, it's set apart. It's not just like something I listen to all the time, but it invokes I don't feel like I feel like I wrote it, like I got good ideas, but they came from somewhere majestic,
Yeah. And back we are full circle. We were talking about the angel sigils. So not really quite music, but the sound. We listened to one, and it's like the angels, I believe, have given them to me to give to you. And they do feel angelic, and they do feel, very lofty. And I think when you start working with the angels, what impedes us is some people tend to think of them as like Barbie dolls with little glitter on. And that's so far from the truth. And what's more to the truth is they're powerful. And they usually have virtue, which means very strong positive attribute to give. And I don't know, when you listen to like these angel sigils, I'll have them out. I have them out in a video course now, but I will have them shortly out, maybe in 2 or 3 months in a CD. But you ingest the angel. When you ingest the frequency, you ingest them, and then your connection to them is stronger. So like right now, if you were to pretend your mom's next to you or somebody close to you, and then pretend they're not, you can feel a subtle difference.
Yeah.
That's the same with the angels. So when you're listening to one of those tracks, we listened to one earlier on the show. How did you feel? That's the angel.
That's good. So with the angels, let me ask you this, because this is something that I've just been experimenting with a little bit, and I don't want to like be forceful with it or like abuse or just use the angel for what they're good at. But lately, I step into a level of prophetic prayer. I'll pray, I'll connect with God, with the universe, and then I'll begin to speak out affirmations, and I'll be led to different things, areas of my life. And quite recently, I've been sending out angels. I'm working with manifestation, and I mean, there's some by name, but usually I'll see the angels going out and making those connections as messengers, almost like lining up the synchronicities, lining up the phone calls, telling that person to be, hey, you stand here. Almost like if God has a play, and okay, you stand here and you stand here, because when TruthSeekah walks in the room, I need you guys to, and so having that energy with the angels of sending them out to do that. Does that sound familiar at all? Because I don't want to feel like I'm using these angels to manifest my desire, but I feel like everything that is moved is controlled by these messengers as well, that they do move things. They push and pull the tides. They do all types of things. Is that mean?
Angels
is that selfish?
Do service. My big experience with angels is that in fact, they're almost narrow-minded. It's like they're workaholics. And so if you're an angel of healing, you do angel of healing, and they will often only do it with human prayer. So in other words, if you don't pray, they don't interfere So when you pray for healing and manifesting, as long as it's something good and the angel lines up with that, that's their purpose. That's how they evolve. Many people don't get close to the angels. I used to be one of them because I thought, well, I don't want to pester them for my little needs.
Yeah.
But what you need to understand is that their purpose is to lift up the whole earth. And if you pray for even your improvement, because that lifts up the earth, and then you pray for someone else's upliftment, that lifts up the earth.
Yeah.
That's their purpose. That's how they evolve. They want to be involved with you on little level. They want to walk with you itty bitty. You ask blessing here, blessing there. As long as you're not hurting someone, blessing here, blessing there. And their purpose is to serve and uplift and enlighten. Of course. Of course,
do we need to serve them in any way? Are we serving them by being conscious of them, of stepping into our greater good and healing humanity? Are we? Is there?
I don't know if we're serving them, but we're allowing them perhaps to serve us, and their purpose is to uplift the earth. So if we uplift, if others uplift,
even with the sigils,
though,
the sigils and things and necklaces and because I know with a lot of the lower level entities and demonics, like they want to exist here, so they want a shrine, they want a statue, they want to be remembered, they want a tattoo, they want you to have that sigil on the wall so that when people come in, they know that, hey, I'm still here, I have authority here. Like there's different rules with some of the lower level stuff. So with this, I'm talking about the higher stuff. So I just want to make sure that they don't insist on being here. But obviously monuments and symbols and things remind us that they're here. And we should be reminded of the higher vibrational frequencies or even times in our lives of statues and tattoos and monuments and things, right? But they've never insisted on any of those things like the sigils and stuff. Or is that
and the other thing, even with the negative ones, they obey you. Someone might say, oh, what am I going to do? Everything. Charge, and they obey you. So they're not going to interfere without your blessing, positive or negative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very empowering. I mean, we're more powerful as humans than we think.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff. Well, Jill, I always enjoy speaking with you. I love your work. I love what you bring to the table. I love getting your emails. I'm on your email list and all the beautiful, wonderful catalog of products that you bring to the table to assist in the healing of humanity and stepping into love and virtue. I love it so much. Let people know where they can go to check out your work, your sessions. You got so much that you bring to the table. Where's the best place for them to go?
At this time, jillswingsoflight.com, jillswingsoflight.com. And I have music to build your immune system against coronavirus. It's free at coronavirusdefense.org. And when you get to Jill Swings of Light, sign up for my newsletter on the homepage. I'll give you about an hour of free music and all kinds of education and events and stuff to use sound as a powerful tool.
Awesome.
And you're a beautiful soul. Thank you so much for having me. I
enjoy connecting with you always. Are you going to be doing any events coming up soon? I know it's kind of strange to plan ahead right now, but do you see yourself getting out doing any events?
I've been doing Tele Seminars, and I think I'm probably going to do that until things open up because, people receive more when they feel safe.
Yeah, that's true. And booking something that gets canceled the next month because of whatever's going on. So for sure. But that's awesome that we have the ability to do this, to connect with people all over the world via the internet, via the telephone and those kind of things. Jill, again, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
You're such a blessing, and many blessings to you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Jill Mattson, ladies and gentlemen. Sound healing, working with the angels. Listen, we're evolving. To act like we have it all figured out, we're deceiving ourselves. There was a scripture that I read today. It's awesome that she mentioned just that word virtue, because there's I read in 2 Peter today. I'm just going to read this little bit because it stood out to me. But there was like some rules to live by and how this stuff works that I read in 2 Peter chapter 2. So I just want to read this a little bit. It's concerning virtue and love and higher frequencies. Let's see. Let's go by 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4, whereby we are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye may be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith. This is the part. In all diligence, add to your faith virtue. So adding virtue to your faith. The interesting thing is, like, these are things that actually, it's almost like if you would have like a hierarchy of what fuels that faith, how to have exceeding and abundant faith. It's giving you some things on how to believe and how to walk in this. Add to your faith virtue, and to your virtue knowledge. So having this knowledge of the virtue, and to the knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. It's interesting that all of these things tap into that, and I can almost see them as a pyramid of just even going to the end of this verse, starting over, reading it backward, like starting with charity, and then adding to your charity brotherly kindness to one another, and then adding to that godliness, and then the patience and temperance, virtue and faith. All of these things go hand in hand. For your spirituality, for your manifestation, to maintain that level of peace, you need all of these. You can't get one without the other. There is no faith without the virtue. It's dead. It's empty. It's what the Bible calls faith without works is what? Dead. It doesn't exist. There's no life in it. But when your faith is backed up by virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, godliness, brotherly kindness, charity, all of these things, then you'll see that your faith is activated. It's about your feelings. It's about your relationship with everything. Your brotherly kindness. You got to love your brothers. You got to love your sisters. You got to love your enemies. You have to bless those who despitefully use you. Bless those who curse you. That's hard. But that's how you pass the test. Remember we said that? How you pass the test is to respond with love, which is charity. It says, for if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. That you should not be barren or unfruitful, which is not bearing fruit, not being able to produce. Like when we're talking about, and that's again linking to manifestation, being able to manifest things. Anything. This is universal law. Like whether you're manifesting a job, whether your dream job, whether you're manifesting a spouse, whether you're manifesting peace on earth, like there's a manifestation process that has to be coupled with the faith, with the love, with the virtue. Faith is believing in something that you can't see. It's not here yet. It's coming. But many of you are unbarren. You're not able to manifest because you're not doing it out of love. You have to do it out of universal love to be content where you are, but still ready to get to the next level. And so there's rules, man, when it comes to this stuff. And love is the key that unlocks the doors. Like it's universal love. And so whatever it takes for you to tap into that, whatever it takes for you to remind yourself about that, like there's meditation, there's breath work, there's reading, there's studying, there's praying, there's chanting. There's so much that we do. There's music, that remind us of this universal love that is our inheritance and is the love of Christ, which is the highest form of love, if you ask me. We tap into that and it's our inheritance, and we bless people with it. It's your inheritance. You own it. You walk in it, and you can give it away. Freely you receive, freely give away. Because if you're doing that out of anything else, first of all, you're going to have complications with trying to manifest whatever it is you're trying to manifest. And believe me when I say that, I'm not just talking about stuff. We're talking about, when we talk about the law of attraction and many of those things, if you're just thinking about physical things, you've totally missed the point. It works for physical things. It works for dreams, right? We're here to live out our dreams, to find our soul's purpose, and to step into it and manifest it, right? But it doesn't stop there, and really doesn't begin there either. It begins with stepping into the law of attraction and those things for blessing others. Like when you step into prophecy and like sending out the angels, asking for blessings, thanking God, like in that level of prophecy, which I do in my own quiet time, I also do it for other people. We talked to a guy the other day talking about the alchemist. He's talking about Arabic alchemy, and how spending time in that gratitude and that love and having that virtue. Listen, you have more power. That's what Peter said. You have power. You're not unbarren. You're not lacking anything. You can manifest. You can birth. You can bless. Freely you receive, freely give. If you don't have it, you can't give it. That's just how it works. You can't give peace that you don't have. You can't give faith that you don't have. Sometimes people need to borrow your faith. When you're working with people, when you're in your soul's purpose, some people have to borrow your faith. You have to be able to lift them up to where you are. It's part of it. So understanding that it goes for peace. Let's manifest the peace. Let's manifest love. Let's manifest all the fruits of the Spirit by walking in love, right? So let's do with that. And then once you have that stuff and you're down, then manifesting physical objects or, stepping out in faith is something that's, again, not here, and seeing it done. And doing that for others, not just for yourself. Yes, God wants you to have good things. Yes, enjoy this life. Yes, you need to focus on yourself. Yes, you need to do the inner work. You need to call things into your life. You need to set things up. Like if you're expecting a child, like you're going to go build a nursery. Listen, in 9 months, we got a child that's coming. So we need to go ahead and get it. We need to paint the room. We need to buy the baby bed. We have to get diapers. We have to go to Target and fill out the stuff that we want, and the people buy it for the baby shower. You got to do that stuff. What happens when the baby comes and you don't have nowhere to keep the baby? Well, the baby's just going to sleep in our bed. And some of those people let the baby sleep in the bed till they're 5 years old. But you need to create, if you're expecting, you're pregnant. It's talking about being barren. What is in you, you can't birth it because it's stuck within you. You got to be able to receive. You got to let go of what's in your hand. You got to clean out the guest bedroom. We're turning that into a baby room. We got a baby coming, right? Understand that the harvest is plentiful. Laborers are few. You got to go. You got to get to work. Work on yourself. Clean that stuff out so that you can receive these blessings that God has for you. And it's blessings that He'll pour out a blessing on you. And He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly far beyond anything that you could ever ask. All these things that you're asking for and believing for, and these grandiose things that you're trying to manifest, God's got you times 10. He's going to blow your mind. He's like, I know you asked for this, but I'm going to give you that. It's more. It's worth more. Don't be ungrateful. Stay in that place of presence. And listen, manifestation is huge. We manifest this reality. You're already great at doing it. You've just been unconsciously manifesting this reality for years. You've been asleep, like we're talking about. And then the Bible says, awaken, O slumber. Shake yourself out of your sleep. Romans 13:11. Awaken, O sleeper. O ye simple ones, how long will you love simplicity? Listen, understand the way this stuff works. These guys were master manifestors. They changed the world. We're talking about them today. Understand it. So, hope that blesses you. Hope you learn from it. Hope you get your house in order. However you want to put it. It's all the same. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us on the live stream. I see all your comments. I see all your hearts. Thank you, Chris Garner, for posting her links there. JillsWingsOfLight.com, coronavirusdefense.org. Shout out to Richie. Shout out to Rachel, Shelby, Irk, Clint, Brandy, everybody who's watching live. Y'all have any questions, let me know. Got a few moments left before we jump off of here. Got a lot of stuff going on today. Got 2 more interviews going on after this. I think I'm going to be interviewed on other people's shows. I don't think they'll be live. I'm going on, Spirit Science doing their podcast. So I'm excited about that for a lot of reasons. Jordan was a really cool guy. I'm going to be being interviewed by my friend Corinne Grillo as well, which that's what that alert was. You probably heard that. Corinne's amazing. I think we click really good. Really love her vibe and what she's bringing to the table. And when it comes down to me being interviewed, she asks great questions, and there's stuff that comes out of me that you won't get on a regular podcast. So make sure you listen to me being interviewed on other stuff if you want more content and stuff like that. Some people are really good. People listen to me because I ask good questions. I try to get to the bottom of it. So when you hear me interview a guest, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. And there's other people who do that for me, that I'm able to see things and pull it out and try to get them to articulate it that I see. So that's part of being a good host. So I try to be a good host, and here at the end, try to talk to you guys for a few minutes and get personal with you guys. Shout out Richie again, Eric. You guys are awesome. Check out what I got coming to the table. I'm letting you guys know, for those of you who are aligned with it, I'm doing a Path of the Healer 8-week program. And so you'll be working with me for 8 weeks, learning how to, first 4 weeks are going to be dealing with healing your own trauma. And if you've done a lot of it before, there's no reason not to do it again. Walking in forgiveness, walking in love, finding clarity of vision for what you want to do for your life. It's really for those people who feel called to the healing arts and want to start their own healing, spiritual entrepreneurship, business, podcasts, meditations, whatever that you're wanting to do. This course that I'm developing is going to push you out into it, and there'll be no reason for you not to get out there, start it, make a full to a part-time income. So I pretty much mapped out everything that I've done up to this point, which is years worth of work. And I'm trying to articulate it in a course that's teachable. So that's out there. There's going to be more coming on it. I'm going to be sharing more promo materials and stuff like that. But it starts in 3 months, and you can get access to it by just going to TruthSeekah.com. You'll see it there close to the top of the page. If that resonates with you, if you feel like you want to step out and into the healing arts and you want to do one-on-one sessions, maybe you've done it before. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, I'm going to train you in it. Everything that I do, as far as seeing in the spirit, as far as being able to articulate it, to push and pull energy, I mean, I'm teaching you on it all. So you can be experienced, you can have other modalities, but what I'm teaching is my own intuitive healing that I've kind of developed myself over the years. So check it out, TruthSeekah.com, dealing with your own healing, and then sending you out to go out and be a healer into the world. Even if you didn't want to do your own business and do sessions, like taking that with you in prayer groups and prayer sessions, you're going to be trained, and you're going to learn a lot on how to see these things in the spirit by faith and be able to release it. So if you can't see it in the spirit, then you're not going to be able to navigate. But you have to be able to sharpen your spiritual eyes, the eyes of your understanding, be able to see with your eyes closed, be able to see in faith is something that is done before it's even here. And then it works again with all this manifestation that we're talking about. Somebody walking in spiritual freedom, you got to manifest that. They need you to help them. They don't know how to do it. They're trying. They're addicted, they're broken, they're in failed relationships, they're all over the place. They need help. So they need you to stand in agreement with them. And some of these are long processes. Some of these are instantly. There's instant binding and loosing and receiving grace and healing for these different cords of attachments that's hooked to them. It's a spiritual way to put it. But there's a lot to it. Ungodly beliefs, stinking thinking, helping people work through this. I'm training you in it. If you want to learn under me, sign up for the 8-week course at TruthSeekah.com. It'll be rolling out in 3 months, but check it out. Let's see some of these questions here. Clint says, manifest love and energy to those who listen to invoke them out of their fake reality where they can't move. So when they are awoken out of their misery of pain, they are building a higher, new, better life for themselves. I know it's not always my job, but it feels like it. Yeah, it definitely feels like it, for sure. It's a burden that I carry, and I feel like it's my burden a lot, that, trying to see it through the end, because I want you to win. I want the best for you. That's why I'm freely sharing it. Like, I'm not hiding it from you. Like, We do teachings and courses and meditations and all that kind of stuff and one-on-ones. That's different. Like, I try to make sure that all of that stuff is talked about on this podcast for free. It's not behind a paywall at all. You can listen to it if you apply these principles. Look, God is not a respecter of persons. Like, if it worked for me, it can work for you. Like Jill said, like, everything that I'm doing, you can do. I'm giving you the freaking, showing you how they do it. Showing you how they do it. You can do it too. God is not a respecter of persons. I'm not any more special than anyone. I've said yes. That's all you got to do is say yes. Can't live in fear your whole life. Life is short. You get one shot, one chance. Make it the best one. I know that's debatable. The one shot, one life thing. Multiple timelines, listen, I'm talking about now. I ain't talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about today. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. Love you guys. TruthSeekah.com. Check out my work there. Get my book. If you want to link in with us on Patreon, you get a bunch of cool stuff there. You can get my meditations, bunch of cool stuff. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Many blessings to you. The peace I leave to you right now. Just bless you with it. Take a deep breath in through your nostrils. Breathe in peace. Hold it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Release. Relax your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Again, breathe in through the nostrils. Peace of God. Love and light, which is your inheritance. Release softly. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Bless Yahweh. Father, I thank you for my friends. I thank you for my family who are listening. Wherever they are, whatever they need today, give them this day their daily bread. I pray that whatever they need to know, if it's a little bit of love, if it's a hug, if it's a kind gesture, if it's a word from heaven, Father, right now that you speak to their spirit, send forth your Holy Spirit just to move, connect with them, allow them to feel you, even through the breath. On the count of 3, we'll take one more breath in. This is a conscious breath that when you're breathing in, you're connecting with the Holy Spirit, the spirit of creation. It animates all life. You don't exist without it. You're dead without it, without the breath of life. Count of 3, we're going to take a deep breath in through the nostrils. One more time, guys. Ready? Holy Spirit, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. Release. We're here. We are conscious. We are creators. Love you guys. Shalom.
Your way so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine. Your so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.